Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with Beth Traverso, the newest expert in our expert series. How you doing, Beth?
Doing great. So nice to be back. Thanks so much for having me again.
Absolutely, I love talking to you. You're a welcome addition to the series. Everybody loves you, so thank you for coming back every week.
It's one of my favorite times of the week sitting down and doing this with you. So thanks.
Awesome. Well, you know what? You've been selling real estate for a long time. What I thought we should do is we should just talk about first-time home buyers. It's a topic that's not done on my channel a lot. So let's get kind of in the time machine. Let's go back like 4 or 5 years, right? Kind of
Right.
pre-pandemic, maybe 2018, 2017. Talk about the experience of a first-time home buyer. Then we'll talk about the last 2 years of nuttiness, and we'll close on what's happening today. But what was it like being a first-time home buyer back in 17, 18?
So about 17, 18. So just for reference for people that don't know, I'm in the greater Seattle area. So it's always kind of a tough area for people to get their foot on the property ladder, so to speak, and but back in 2017, 2018, it definitely was a more balanced market, where it was possible, like there were options. It might not be your first choice of where you want to live or your exact dream home scenario, but people could get their foot in the door and get a good house to get started with relatively easily. So meaning, like, as far as what that would meant, it was like some houses would have multiple offers, maybe two or three offers. Some wouldn't have any. You'd have some that were maybe sitting on the market 30 days or more. The ugly ducklings, we can turn over those rocks and sometimes find a gem,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to negotiate, like we might be able to get some closing costs, we might be able to get a little money off, maybe we could split the difference in some ways, but we could
Mm-hmm.
have like an actual conversation with the seller and find a good outcome for everybody. And so there was a lot more, just I would say there was a lot of options back then.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, another thing I want to say for perspective is people felt it was hard back then. People always think it's going to have its challenges, and it's
Yeah.
never perfect for anybody, but I will say that it was a more it felt like something that was more like feasible for people to do if they wanted
Right.
to get their first home back
If
then.
I were to if I were to kind of guess, because I don't know your market at all, my guess is inventory was probably 3x what it is today. Would that be a
I think that's
reasonable
probably
guess?
about fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Days
Mhm.
on market was probably 2 or 3x, right? It wasn't in the teens. It was probably in the high 20s, low 30s, maybe.
Probably not quite that high, but
Okay.
maybe around 2 to 3 weeks or so, which that is kind of long in general around our area,
Okay.
but
But yeah,
with
just a
some outliers
slower.
that would be long, more days on the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Or
more choices,
Mhm.
a little bit longer time, and you really could have a negotiation, right? It wasn't take it or leave it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and as agents, we had to use our skills,
Yeah.
well, different skills. Should say a different skill set was needed at that
Yeah.
time.
And
Yeah.
then in your market, if you don't remember, it's okay. But what kind of percentage of your business was first time home buyer back in 17, 18? Was it
Well,
half?
my business was kind of different back then. I would say it was maybe 30% or so at that time.
Okay. All right.
That might be a little high, but I was getting people coming to me through online lead sources that a lot of them were tended to be the first time home buyers who were just
Okay.
looking for guidance, and
Sure.
we would connect that way. So I
Yeah.
would say about 30%.
Okay.
Hmm.
So now let's jump in, go forward to kind of 2020, 2021, which is the most wild real estate market I've ever seen. Just what happened to the first time home buyers in the utter nuttiness of that
They
environment?
got pushed out. The only ones that were really finding a lot of success overall were the group that had was able to tap into cash from mom and dad, grandma. Somebody
Stocks or
was able
something.
to pull cash, give it to them. They'd buy it because then they could compete with these cash buyers, and then they would work it out with mom and dad later. They would
Hmm.
they'd get financing and pay them back.
Right.
I saw that happening fairly often because that was the only way they could play in that sandbox.
Yeah. And then just kind of a complete opposite of 18. Inventory was next to nothing. Days on markets felt like hours, not even days or weeks.
Yeah,
No negotiations, always waiving conditions. It was frankly unhealthy.
it was very unhealthy. And so we went from a couple of weeks on the market, 2, 3, 4 weeks on the market, to a matter of usually average market time was about 3 days. And
Wow.
that was only because listing agents like me, we would set a review date. We'd list on
Right.
Thursday, review dates on Tuesday. And
Mhm.
that's why there was that 4 or 5 days on market, only because of that.
Sure.
Because we wanted to allow time to let all the offers come
Sure.
in and then do an offer review day where everybody's battling it out. And
Yeah.
so the typical form, and so for me, when I was working with buyers in that environment, was to coach them on negotiation was about winning the offer. And so here's the things you need to do. And so basically it was like, and buyers had it down. They knew ahead of time. They were asking they were savvy. They'd come into the open house and they'd know all the questions to ask, and they had their strategy because they'd done it 10, 15, 20 times. It was exhausting, but it was 20 to 30% over list,
Wow.
every contingency waived, including financing, low appraisal. Like they cover unlimited low appraisal, huge earnest money, oftentimes in the 6 figures,
Hmm.
released as non-refundable. I mean, every risky thing that you could think of for a buyer, like it couldn't be more
Unhealthy.
disadvantageous to the buyer. It's
Mhm.
just not possible to be any more slanted to the seller side.
Wow.
So, and then they would do all that and then lose, so it's like, oh, now we got to
Uh,
do it again.
do it
Every week it was
again.
a new, like every week we'd get in every little submarket, you'd have like maybe 3 or 4 houses that everybody would battle over, and then they would move on to the next one. And
Wow.
every week it was a cycle.
Well, let's hopefully talk about the where we're headed, maybe where we're headed. That seems to be over. That utter insanity. Do you see first-time home buyers having a leg up now, or maybe you see potentially in the future because you are in a pretty unique part of the
Yeah,
world?
absolutely I do. I'm seeing it right now. I don't know how long this window is going to last. And that I know is up for infinite debate,
Hmm.
but I'm already seeing things start to, in my area, start to level out a little bit, and
Okay.
inventory is going down, and
Yeah, I saw that too.
buyers are coming back. They're coming back to these listings that have been on the market for a little longer. They're still negotiating, like we're back to that previous,
Okay.
2018 or so negotiation, you know,
Hmm. Yeah.
normal process where people can have contingencies, we can discuss
You can
things.
actually have an appraisal.
Yeah. You can have an appraisal, and we can negotiate if it's low. I'm not seeing low appraisals right now, but we could negotiate that.
Right.
I'm seeing people having more than 5 minutes to think about a house. Like back in that
Yeah.
crazy time, I would joke to some of my buyers that it was like speed dating. Okay, guys, we got 10 minutes. Let's run through this $2 million house. Okay, do you want it? We got to decide right now. It's like, it's that now you can come back again. You can think about it. You can
Much healthier.
revisit the idea. I'm seeing offers coming in, less than list price on a regular basis. I'm
Like
seeing
it.
some big price corrections from sellers in our area. The wish pricing, sellers caught on quick, and they adjusted like pretty rapidly to that. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, that's not happening now. Now we're doing this. We were doing that. Now we're doing this. Okay, we're all going down that road.
Okay. How long did that take? Was that like they list for 3 or 4 days, they get nothing, and they drop it 100 grand, or what are we talking?
Yeah, what I was saying is from a market perspective, overall market perspective, we saw, I think, among the fastest increases and spikes. Like we talked on a previous video about how it went 40% month over month just in
Yeah.
February.
Wow.
So it spiked the fastest, corrected the fastest, I
Okay.
believe, and I think we may pull out of it a little faster because we were so. If you rip that band-aid off fast,
Yeah.
you tend to get over it a little better. And so people are. I think there's a lot of good agents in this area, a lot of
Mhm.
savvy sellers. They're just like, okay, what are we doing now? This is what we got to do. It took a little while to kind of, for sellers to sort of grieve the change and kind of go, okay, we're not going to get the
Yeah, we missed the
hundreds of
top.
thousands of dollars over the, now that froth has gotten knocked off. So basically, like you used to be able to list and you'd expect you to get several $100,000 over that. Now it's like, okay, we're going to list for that same price, but we might get under that, or, so that's a several $100,000 difference,
Sure.
mostly because the buyers aren't running the price up.
Okay.
So that's what I'm seeing. But I've got what I'm working on today, where it's like we're having a good old fashioned negotiation over terms and price, and I welcome it. I think we
Yeah.
got to have, as agents, you got to be able to be adaptable to see what's going on in the market and adjust and coach your sellers and buyers appropriately. And we're talking about buyers here, so
Yeah.
coach your buyers so that they know what's going on. You got to have an agent that understands the nuances of the market, because it does shift really quickly, actually, before
Yeah.
you see the numbers in the headlines.
Totally. And this is something I was trying to tell first time home buyers is if you are unfortunately caught up in the craziness of the last 2 years, throw that experience away. It's not speed dating anymore. It's not wave all conditions. It's now back to 2018 where you can think about it. You can visit it twice. You can compare. I'm telling everybody watching my channel right now, don't pay list price. First off, don't look at first day listings. Let all the craziness happen there. Look at something older. Days on market's a great number. I don't know what every market is different for me, Beth. I'm not looking at anything less than 30 days on market. It was 15, now it's 30. Obviously I'm an investor, not a homeowner. So, do you, but I'm not paying list price. I'm going to get closing cost at least half. I'm going to ask for it all, but I'm going to settle for 50-50. And I want rate buy downs. I'm going to ask for the moon. Why not?
Yeah, ask for it, and you probably will get it a lot of the time. Maybe not on every one you try, but one thing I want to tip for the first time home buyers or any home buyers, I prefer a closing cost credit to a price reduction, because the closing cost credit is cash in your pocket,
It's real money. It's
which
the
makes
entire
far more
balance.
impact than a little bit of difference on like 10 grand on your mortgage is not going to be that different, but $10,000 in your pocket could do some real good.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
always go for that if you can.
I totally agree. I
Go
actually
for
did.
both, but I mean,
Yeah.
if you can only have to pick one, I would pick that one.
Yeah, it really impacts your yield, right? The yield
Yeah,
calculation is how much cash comes out of your pocket. And if you could take
absolutely.
closing cost to zero, that'll impact the yield for sure.
Yeah.
And then lastly, kind of as we go forward, uh, at least I don't see the nuttiness returning. Do you?
No, I hope it doesn't come back to that. So, and I've been doing this 24 years, and I've seen I thought I had seen a lot of crazy markets. I
Yeah,
really thought I did. It's not
me
our
too.
first rodeo with the bidding wars.
No,
Like, I'm
yeah,
like, okay, I know how to do this bidding war
been
stuff.
here before. Yeah,
Yeah, all
but
right,
that was
we go.
wild.
And now it's not, I think, I hope it doesn't happen again, honestly, because it's been such a roller coaster. It's not healthy.
No, it's not
It
healthy.
didn't do it's not a positive thing overall. So
No.
I really hope that it just stays. I love a balanced market, honestly.
Mm-hmm,
So I know as investors, we love the buyer's market, you know, and
mm-hmm.
I wear all the hats. So but
You get
there's opportunities in all markets is another thing I want to say, up, down, neutral.
yeah. The key about a balanced or a slowdown in the market for me is we can find, like you said, ugly ducklings earlier, right? The ugly duckling is a great analogy for me because first off, the first time home buyers don't buy it because it probably doesn't go FHA.
Right.
You need that extra to make it work. But then, it's not going to be so discounted that a cash buyer comes in. I like a market where you can actually you can go find value, you can go create value. And that's what I see coming. I do
Yeah.
see transactions crashing. I think they're going to be down 30, 40, 50%. I
Oh,
don't
they
know.
already are around here. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's already happened. And like I say, we're kind of on the forefront here and all these things, But one other thing, takeaway I hope that your buyers would hear is a lot of the investors are sitting on the sidelines right now, which means you buyers have the opportunity to come in there with a little vision.
Yep.
Cosmetic fixers are the best, I think, for first time home buyers, because they
Agreed.
still can get financing. It might be a little ugly, but you can fix that.
Mm-hmm.
And if the cash buyers, the flippers, they're not really out. I mean, they're still out there. There's people that are always going to be doing it, but it's definitely
Pulled back. Yeah.
a big pullback, which means, whether you're if you're an investor, it gives you less competition, but also I think it's best for the first time home buyers. And honestly, like, hey, if a first time home buyer wants a house, it's like, I'd be like, let them have it before they
Yeah.
even, I'm glad they have this opportunity to get in there and get some good houses and get their foot in the door.
Yeah. I think, again, looking forward and backwards at the same time. I think the group that's going to benefit from the market we're heading into is FHA and VA buyers.
Mm-hmm.
They were so ignored, so skipped over, had zero shot the last 2 years.
Zero.
Yeah.
This is
I,
their time.
I
They're
agree.
empowered, and
Yeah.
I
And
welcome that.
me too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they wanted to buy in your neck of the woods, Beth, how would you want them to reach out?
They can reach out to me through my website, bethtraversogroup.com. And if they're curious how to spell it, it's right there in the corner. So.
Thank you very much, Beth.